The galaxy was not silent. It was always full of voices. Ships calling across the stars, traders sending deals, empires shouting their pride. Yet, in the middle of this endless noise, one strange voice appeared. It was faint, broken, and carried by accident through the emptiness. A merchant vessel caught it first. The crew, made of insect-like traders, leaned close to the speaker as the words came alive. We are still here. We endure. We grow. The aliens froze. Their wings twitched with fear. This was no ordinary signal. The voice was human. For centuries, many had believed humans were trapped near their home star, Sol. Yes, Earth had fought in old wars and earned a reputation for madness and bravery. But after that, their fire had gone quiet. Empires grew bold, whispering that humans were now small and weak, chained to their one system. But this signal was far beyond Earth. Too far. It made no sense. The merchant captain played the message again, and each time, the crew felt colder. Humans were not supposed to be here. If they were, it meant one thing. A hidden colony had survived, and it had been waiting. The recording spread like fire. In trading hubs, creatures of every kind repeated the words. In the crowded markets of Vega, a reptilian trader hissed, "Humans, they are in the dark, watching us." In the shadow halls of the Zelther Dominion, whispers echoed. They were never weak. They were only hiding. The rumors grew until even the great councils could not ignore them. The Zelther Dominion, proud rulers of dozens of systems, called an emergency meeting. Their high lords gathered in a hall of crystal and steel, each alien war armor decorated with the victories of their ancestors. But tonight, their voices trembled. An elder with silver skin spoke first. If this is true, then they have grown in silence. Generations of secrecy. Generations of planning. Who knows what weapons they hold? A younger lord slammed his clawed hand on the table. Enough fear. Humans are reckless, not patient. They cannot build empires in the shadows. This is only noise. We will crush them before they can rise. But deep inside, every one of them remembered the old wars. They remembered stories where a single human ship outmaneuvered fleets. They remembered how humans turned battles into chaos, how their will to fight never broke. Still, pride blinded them. The Dominion voted to send a fleet. While the aliens prepared for war, the hidden colony stirred. It lay on the edge of a forgotten solar system, a place no one visited, a place maps had erased. On the surface of a dusty world, human banners waved in the wind. Below the ground, vast cities thrived, built in silence, powered by suns harvested with machines no empire had ever seen. In the largest chamber, Commander Arya Valen stood before her people. Her eyes were sharp, her presence heavy. Behind her were symbols of their long journey, broken star charts, relics of the first ships, and weapons forged in secret. She spoke, her voice steady. The galaxy has heard us now. Our time in the shadows is finished. We are no longer hidden. The room filled with silence, but it was not fear. It was fire. Generations had lived preparing for this moment. They had trained children for war. They had studied alien languages and stolen transmissions. They had built ships that no outsider had ever seen. For hundreds of years, they were ghosts. Now they were ready to become conquerors. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. A lizard merchant whispered, "They survived without us knowing. What else have they done in secret?" A bird-like scholar cried, "Their signal was not an accident. It was a warning." Even smugglers in lawless space muttered, "If the humans are back, war will follow." The Dominion, blinded by arrogance, prepared its massive fleet. Cruisers armed with plasma cannons gathered in orbit. Their admirals laughed. To them, this would be easy, a colony crushed, a message sent. But far away, beyond their sight, human ships already moved. Their hulls were sleek, their weapons silent but deadly. They carried strange engines that bent light itself. For generations, the colony had trained for this single truth. Someday, the galaxy would discover them. And when that day came, they would not beg for mercy. They would strike. The merchant's recording, the one that started it all, still played in dark corners of the galaxy. The same 3 sentences echoed like a prophecy. We are still here. We endure. We grow. No one could laugh at those words anymore. The forgotten colony was real. And soon, the galaxy would learn what it meant. The galaxy had many voices, but one voice was louder than all others now. The human signal. It was played in markets, in military camps, even in secret bars where smugglers gathered. The words were always the same, yet they carried endless meaning. We are still here. We endure. We grow. No one knew exactly what the humans meant, but everyone understood the danger. These were not the words of a broken colony. They were the words of a people who had been waiting. On the world of Vornus Prime, a city of glass and fire, merchants argued over the meaning. A reptilian trader hissed, "If they survived unseen, they must have stolen from us. Stolen technology, stolen secrets." An insectoid replied nervously, "No, they built on their own. That is worse. If humans build in silence, what else have they created?" Nearby, a smuggler leaned on the table, his eyes sharp. "You don't get it. This wasn't a mistake. That signal wasn't an accident. It was a message to all of us. They wanted us to hear it." The crowd went silent, and in that silence, fear grew. Rumors spread faster than ships. On the pleasure worlds of the Hishari, nobles drank sweet poisons and whispered, "The forgotten humans are stronger than Earth itself." On the fortress moons of the Korthak, generals sharpened their blades and muttered, "If the colony is real, war is coming." Even in the great archives of the Zenth scholars, old records were pulled from dust. Maps showed lost expeditions. Reports described human fleets that vanished into the dark. Perhaps this colony was one of them, an outcast branch of humanity that grew without anyone watching. The fear reached the highest thrones. In the council of the Zelther Dominion, the lords argued for hours. The chamber glowed with blue fire, and their armored forms cast long shadows. One lord demanded, "We cannot allow them to rise. If they spread beyond their hidden system, they will become a cancer." Another replied, "But if they already hold technology stronger than ours, are we not rushing into disaster?" Voices clashed, pride against caution. In the end, arrogance won. A massive fleet was ordered to move. 50 warships, 10 battlecruisers, 1 dreadnought. The Dominion believed this force would crush the humans quickly. To them, the forgotten colony was only an insect nest waiting to be burned. But not all were so confident. A young officer named Rin Taller sat in the shadow of the council chamber. He was low-ranked, his voice unimportant, yet his thoughts burned. He had studied the human wars of the past. He knew the pattern. Humans always appeared weaker than they truly were. They always fought harder than anyone expected. As the council dismissed him, Rin whispered to himself, "If this colony is real, then the Dominion is already too late." Meanwhile, far from the arguments of alien councils, the humans themselves were watching. From hidden stations across the system, they listened to the galaxy's panic. Every whisper, every rumor, every council debate, they heard it all. Their spies had grown strong in silence. Commander Arya Valen stood on the command bridge of the Iron Dawn, one of the colony's greatest ships. The bridge glowed dimly, built not for comfort but for war. Before her, holograms showed the galaxy like a living map. She could see the Dominion fleet gathering step by step. "Let them come," she said quietly. Her officers nodded. They were ready. For generations, their people had trained for this moment. Children grew up not just with stories of survival, but with drills of war. Every human in the colony knew the truth. When they were discovered, they would not beg. They would fight. Across alien space, whispers grew louder. Some said the humans had engines that folded time. Others claimed their weapons could erase a fleet in seconds. None of it could be confirmed, yet every rumor made the fear worse. A drunken trader shouted in a crowded bar, "The humans already control more than one star. You fools, they'll take the whole sector." A scholar argued, "No, they're still small. But even small, humans are dangerous. Never forget the Earth Wars. And in the darkest corners, smugglers smiled. War meant chaos. Chaos meant profit. The Dominion fleet launched. Their ships, black and silver, cut through the void like blades. Crews sang of victory, certain the humans would fall. They expected broken colonies, poor defenses, and a quick triumph. But hidden far ahead of them, human scouts already tracked every move. Silent ships drifted like shadows, unseen by alien eyes. They recorded numbers, formations, and weaknesses. All of it was sent back to Commander Arya. She looked at the data and smiled. "The galaxy whispers about us," she said. "Now it will scream." And so the stage was set. The whispers of fear had reached every corner of the galaxy. The Dominion fleet raced toward what they thought was an easy victory. The hidden humans prepared for their first strike. The stars themselves seemed to wait in silence. Because soon the galaxy would no longer whisper. It would witness. The Dominion fleet entered the system with fire and arrogance. 50 warships cut through the darkness, their silver hulls gleaming against the distant sun. Behind them, a massive dreadnought drifted like a floating mountain, its cannons able to break moons. Admiral Chorus stood on the bridge of the dreadnought, hands folded behind his back. His armor shone like polished steel, and his voice was full of pride. "Humans," he sneered, "are insects. They crawl, they hide, and they think themselves clever. Today we burn their nest." His officers laughed, but a faint tension lingered. None of them had ever truly faced humans before. They only knew the stories, the kind where aliens underestimated them and paid in blood. Still, the fleet pressed on. The target was a lonely star system, its light weak, its planets covered in dust. On the surface, it looked abandoned. No ships in orbit, no stations, no signs of civilization. The alien captains grew confused. Was this truly the place? Could the rumors have been false? Admiral Chorus smiled coldly. Perhaps their colony was too weak to survive. "All the better. We will erase even the bones." He ordered a squadron forward to scan the third planet. The cruisers descended, their sensors reaching into the dark. First, nothing appeared. Only dead rock and empty desert. Then something moved. On the planet's surface, the sand shifted. Hidden doors opened, and strange towers rose from beneath the earth. Antennas stretched like claws toward the sky. In seconds, the planet looked alive, covered with structures no one had seen before. The Dominion crews panicked. "Admiral, we're detecting power surges. Massive ones." Before Chorus could respond, the signal came. A human voice, calm and sharp, filled every ship. "You have entered our home. Leave now, or you will not leave at all." The bridge went silent. Officers looked at each other in disbelief. The humans had spoken. The forgotten colony was real. Chorus growled, "Empty threats. Fire on the planet." The fleet obeyed. Cannons roared. Beams of plasma lanced toward the surface. Explosions lit up the dust. Towers collapsed. For a moment it seemed victory was quick. But then, the planet fought back. From the shadows of space, human ships appeared. They had been waiting all along. They did not arrive with bright engines or heavy noise. They slid out of blackness, their hulls wrapped in strange metal that bent light. It was as if the darkness itself gave birth to them. The first volley came without warning. Thin beams of white light cut across the void, piercing through Dominion cruisers like knives through paper. One ship exploded instantly, its fire scattering into the stars. Panic erupted in the alien ranks. "They're everywhere. We can't lock targets. Our scanners don't see them." The humans moved like predators. They did not fight with brute force, but with speed and precision. Every strike was deliberate. Every attack cut deep. Admiral Chorus roared in fury. "Form battle lines. Focus fire." The Dominion ships tried to gather, but confusion spread faster than discipline. For every alien shot, 2 human ships slid out of sight, vanishing behind cloaks of bending light. On the human flagship Iron Dawn, Commander Arya Valen watched calmly. Her officers worked in silence. No wasted words, No wasted movement. "Target their dreadnought," she said. Her ships obeyed. The battle became chaos. Dominion warships fired blindly into the dark, but their shots hit only emptiness. Human vessels appeared for a second, unleashed a deadly strike, then vanished again. On one alien cruiser, the captain screamed as alarms blared. Shields collapsing. Hull breach. The rest was silence as the ship tore apart. On another, frightened officers begged their admiral for orders. Chorus cursed them as cowards, but his own claws shook. He had never faced an enemy like this, an enemy that was not simply fighting but hunting. In the middle of the storm, a human broadcast echoed again. Calm, steady, merciless. "We told you to leave. You chose war. Now you will learn." The Dominion crews felt something they had not felt in generations. Fear. At the edge of the battlefield, young officer Rintaler, stationed on a smaller frigate, watched the slaughter with wide eyes. He had studied human history, and now he saw it unfold in real time. The humans were not weak. They were not small. They were executioners, and the Dominion had walked into their trap. He whispered to himself, "We should never have come." His words were drowned by another explosion as another cruiser vanished into dust. On the Iron Dawn, Commander Arya stood tall. Her people had waited for this moment for centuries. The galaxy thought they were forgotten. Now, the galaxy would remember them forever. "Strike their heart," she commanded. And with that, the human fleet turned its eyes to the Dominion dreadnought. The first contact between the hidden humans and the galaxy had begun. And it was not diplomacy. It was war. The Dominion fleet had marched into the system with pride. 50 warships, 10 battlecruisers, and 1 dreadnought that was feared across sectors. They expected surrender, maybe resistance for a few hours. Instead, they found death waiting in silence. Now the battle was raging under the light of a lonely star. The star the humans called their Forgotten Sunday. Admiral Chorus shouted orders on the Dominion dreadnought. His voice echoed through the bridge as explosions shook the giant vessel. "Form defensive lines. Do not scatter." But his words were too late. Already half his ships were burning. Human vessels struck like ghosts, appearing, firing, and vanishing back into the dark. A frightened officer cried out, "Admiral, their weapons cut through our shields as if they do not exist." Another screamed, "We cannot track them. They disappear from sensors." Chorus roared in fury. "Then shoot the dark itself." The fleet obeyed, pouring fire into empty space. But every blast missed. Human ships danced between their shots with impossible precision. On the Iron Dawn, Commander Arya Valen watched calmly. Her crew was silent, their faces hardened by years of training. "Target their battlecruisers," she said softly. Her ships moved like blades. They struck the nearest cruiser, cutting its engines apart in a single volley. The alien vessel spun helplessly before exploding in a ball of fire. The crew of the Iron Dawn did not cheer. They were not fighting for glory. They were fighting to survive, to prove that their centuries of hiding had not been wasted. In the middle of the storm, Dominion officers realized the truth. This was not a colony fighting for survival. This was a fleet that had been preparing for generations. Every move the humans made was calculated. Every strike was deadly. On one Dominion destroyer, a captain screamed, "They know our tactics before we even use them. It is like they studied us for years." And the truth was they had. The dreadnought fought back with raw power. Its massive cannons unleashed waves of plasma that burned across space. Whole asteroids shattered. 2 human ships were caught in the blast, their hulls torn apart, their crews lost to the void. For a moment, the Dominion cheered. The dreadnought was still a monster, and even humans could bleed. But Arya did not flinch. "Draw it in," she commanded. Her fleet obeyed. Smaller ships darted around the dreadnought, striking at its weapons, vanishing before its guns could turn. Piece by piece, the giant was being cut apart. Admiral Chorus refused to believe what he saw. His claws dug into the metal railing as he roared, "This cannot be! They are only humans." But fear was spreading across his bridge. Officers whispered that the dreadnought might not survive. Young Officer Rintaler, standing at his post, felt his stomach turn. He had warned his superiors. He had studied human history, and now he was watching it unfold again. He muttered, "This battle is already lost." No one listened. The fight dragged on under the forgotten sun. The star's light reflected off wreckage, turning space into a graveyard. Human ships glided through the debris, precise and cold. On the Dominion side, panic broke discipline. Some captains tried to flee. Others begged for reinforcements. The fleet that had entered with pride was collapsing into chaos. Arya saw it all. Her eyes narrowed. This was the moment she had been waiting for. "Now," she whispered. "Break their heart." The human fleet turned as one. Dozens of ships focused fire on the dreadnought. White beams cut across the void, smashing into the giant's armor. Explosions rippled along its hull. On the Dominion bridge, alarms screamed. Officers shouted, "Hull breach on deck 12. Shields failing." Chorus snarled, "Return fire! Kill them!" But his words were drowned by another explosion. Fire consumed half the command deck. Smoke filled the air. The dreadnought shuddered like a wounded beast. Then came the voice. Human, calm, and merciless. "This system is ours. Leave or die." The Dominion officers froze. The voice carried no anger, no pride, only certainty. The humans were not threatening. They were promising. In the last desperate move, the dreadnought charged its main cannon. Power surged through the ship, building to a blast strong enough to vaporize the human fleet. But Arya was ready. She raised her hand. "Release the spear." From the Iron Dawn, a single weapon launched. A spear of light, brighter than the sun itself, cut across the void, pierced the dreadnought's heart. For one breathless moment, silence. Then the dreadnought erupted, a burning star of fire and death. The shockwave tore through nearby cruisers, sending them spinning into ruin. The flagship of the Dominion was gone. The surviving aliens fled in terror, their ships abandoning the battlefield. They had no discipline left, no courage. The great Dominion fleet was broken. Among the wreckage, human ships floated silently, victorious, but not reckless. They did not chase. They did not gloat. On the Iron Dawn, Commander Arya Valen spoke to her people. Her voice was steady, almost calm. "Today we fought for our home. Tomorrow the galaxy will know we are no longer hidden." Her crew stood in silence. They understood. The first battle was won, but the real war was only beginning. And across the galaxy, news of the disaster spread. The whispers had turned into screams. The forgotten colony had risen. And under the light of the forgotten sun, the galaxy realized its greatest fear. Humans had returned. The Dominion fleet was gone. What had entered the forgotten sun with pride and fire left as wreckage and scattered survivors. The galaxy watched in silence. Whispers spread faster than light. The Dominion lost their dreadnought. An entire fleet destroyed. And the ones who destroyed them were human. Across markets, palaces, and war camps, the same question burned. Who were these humans? On the human colony world, the people gathered in the great underground hall. The chamber was wide and carved into stone, but lined with glowing steel and screens showing the stars. Men and women stood shoulder to shoulder, waiting to hear the words of their leader. Commander Arya Valen stepped forward. She wore no crown, no robe, only the dark uniform of the fleet. But when she spoke, her voice filled the hall. "For centuries," she began, "the galaxy believed we were lost. They thought we were weak. They thought Earth was the only home of mankind." She paused, letting her words hang in the air. The crowd leaned closer. But they were wrong. She raised her hand toward the screens. They showed the wreckage of the Dominion fleet still drifting in space. "We did not vanish," she continued. "Our ancestors left Earth long ago. They left when empires circled our world like vultures. They left with nothing but broken ships and desperate courage. And they came here to this sun, forgotten by maps and abandoned by history. Her eyes swept the room. They endured the storms. They mined the rocks. They built with their hands and with their blood. They taught their children to never forget who they were. And while the galaxy ignored us, we grew strong. In the shadows, we prepared. The hall erupted in thunderous applause. Voices shouted, fists raised. For generations, they had lived hidden, silent, waiting. Now, at last, their truth was revealed. But the colony's history was more than survival. In the secret archives of the Iron Dawn, ancient records told the real story. The first settlers had not only fled Earth's enemies, they had fled Earth itself. Wars between human nations had grown bitter, and some had chosen exile over surrender. They left with stolen technology, daring to build their own future. At first, their life was hard. Ships broke, crops failed, children starved. Yet still they endured. Generations later, they discovered strange ruins buried beneath their world, remnants of an ancient alien race long vanished. From these ruins, they learned secrets of science no empire had ever shared. And with that knowledge, they built weapons, engines, and ships that no one could match. The forgotten colony was not simply hidden, it was advanced beyond imagination. The galaxy, however, did not yet know these details. To them, the mystery was even more terrifying. Rumors twisted into legends overnight. On the trade world of Koran, a merchant swore he saw human ships teleport across the battlefield. On the fortress moons of the Dominion, broken officers claimed humans fired weapons that bent reality itself. And in the high halls of rival empires, leaders debated in fear. Had humans discovered ancient power? Were they unstoppable now? Back on the colony, Commander Arya stood before her council. Holograms showed the galaxy's panic, markets crashing, alliances trembling, fleets arming. One counselor spoke nervously. We have revealed ourselves too soon. The galaxy will unite against us. Another answered sharply, and what choice did we have? The Dominion came to destroy us. If we stayed hidden, we would already be dead. Arya listened, then raised her hand for silence. The truth is out, she said. The galaxy knows we exist. They will come for us again. But let them. We are no longer shadows. We are no longer forgotten. We are a people who claim our place among the stars. Her words struck like steel. The council bowed their heads. There was no turning back. Meanwhile, survivors from the Dominion fleet limped home. Their ships were scarred, their crews broken. Across their empire, anger boiled. Some demanded revenge. Others whispered of peace. The defeat was too shocking, too total. Young officer Rin Taller, one of the few who survived, sat alone in a dark chamber, writing his report. His hand trembled as he remembered the human fleet moving like predators. He wrote only one line at the end. The forgotten colony is not weak. They are the future. And so, the galaxy faced a truth it had long ignored. Humans had not vanished. Humans had not grown soft. Humans had built an empire in silence. Under the forgotten sun, a colony had risen from dust and hunger to strength and fire. And now they would no longer hide. The galaxy had always feared humanity's stubborn will. Now it would learn the truth of humanity's power. The truth of the colony. The battle was over, but the echoes of victory still rang beneath the forgotten sun. Wreckage of Dominion ships floated in orbit, glowing like broken lanterns. Smoke trails stretched across the void. To the humans, it was more than debris. It was a sign that their time of hiding was truly finished. Commander Arya Valen stood on the command bridge of the Iron Dawn, watching the silent battlefield. Around her, officers waited for her command. No one celebrated. No one smiled. They knew what came next. The Dominion will return, Arya said. Her voice was steady, calm. And when they do, we will not only defend, we will expand. This system is ours now. From its star to its outer ring. Claim everything. Her words spread across the fleet like fire. For centuries, the colony had lived in fear of discovery. Now, for the first time, they would stand in the light and declare ownership of the stars above them. The work began at once. Human ships scattered through the system, securing planets and moons. Massive machines unfolded from carriers, building defense stations in orbit. Mining drones swarmed the asteroids, stripping them for metal. Each rock, each planet, each satellite was pulled into the colony's control. On the barren third planet, where the Dominion had first attacked, towers rose from the ground again. Not hidden this time, open, proud, reaching for the skies. Antennas sent signals into space, announcing the colony's claim. "This is human territory," the broadcasts declared. "The forgotten sun belongs to us." Aliens across the galaxy heard those words, and their fear deepened. In the pleasure halls of the Hishari nobles, dancers whispered, "The humans are no longer shadows. They take stars now." In the iron fortresses of the Korthak, generals sharpened their blades. They claimed one system today. Tomorrow it will be 10. Even the scholars of the Zenth debated nervously. The colony must have found knowledge beyond Earth's reach. How else could they rise so quickly? Back in the Dominion, anger boiled like fire. Their council raged at the humiliation. Their great dreadnought was gone. Their fleet in ruins. Their pride shattered. Some lords demanded revenge. Burn their colony to ash. Others, more cautious, warned, "You saw their weapons. You saw their tactics. If we rush again, we will lose again." But pride does not die easily. The Dominion prepared another fleet, larger than before. Yet even as they armed themselves, fear gnawed at their hearts. They had been the hunters. Now they felt like prey. Meanwhile, on the human colony, life changed overnight. For generations, the people had lived in shadows, underground halls, hidden mines, secret stations. Now they walked on the surface without fear. Children pointed at the rising towers. Farmers planted crops in open fields again. Workers built new starports where ships could land proudly instead of in secret caves. Still, everyone knew danger was close. Soldiers trained harder. Engineers worked day and night, forging stronger weapons. Every citizen understood the truth. Survival depended on strength. Commander Arya reminded them daily. She spoke to the people through broadcasts, her face stern but full of fire. "We are free because we fought," she said. "We are safe because we claimed. The star is ours. But the galaxy will test us again. And when it does, we must be ready." Her words became law. The first true test came quickly. A Dominion scout ship entered the edge of the system, its sensors scanning. It carried no weapons strong enough to fight, but its eyes were dangerous. If it escaped, the Dominion would know every detail of human defenses. But the humans were watching. A hidden interceptor launched from the asteroid belt, moving faster than light. Before the Dominion crew could even cry out, the ship was destroyed. A single beam of white light cut it in half, leaving only silence. The humans sent no warning, no mercy. Only one message followed, transmitted into open space. "This system is closed. Trespassers will not leave alive." That single act shook the galaxy. Never before had humans claimed a star system so openly, so boldly. They were no longer just survivors of a forgotten world. They were rulers of a solar system, and they had shown they would kill to protect it. Traders avoided the routes near the forgotten sun. Smugglers spoke of death ships that appeared out of nowhere. Children on alien worlds whispered the words as if they were legend. "Trespassers will not leave alive." The humans had written their warning in fire. In the command hall of the colony, Arya stood before her council once more. The map of the system glowed before them, each planet marked, each moon claimed. One counselor whispered, almost in disbelief, "We have taken everything. The entire system is ours." Arya nodded. "This is only the beginning. We are not done. The galaxy thinks this was our victory. They are wrong. This was only our first step." Her words hung in the air like a blade. Everyone felt the same chill. They were no longer a hidden people. They were conquerors. And so, the forgotten colony stood tall under its sun, no longer in shadows. For the first time in centuries, they looked beyond survival. They looked outward. The galaxy trembled, because one colony had claimed a solar system, and tomorrow they might claim more. The galaxy had been shaken before, wars, rebellions, empires rising and falling. But nothing spread fear faster than the news from the Forgotten Sun. The humans had returned, and they had claimed an entire solar system. On the world of Vornus Prime, where alien merchants once laughed at human weakness, silence filled the markets. Traders spoke in whispers, their voices trembling. They destroyed a Dominion fleet. They took a system in days. If one colony could do this, what about Earth itself? Even the boldest smugglers lowered their voices when speaking of humans. Their stories grew with each telling. Human ships that vanished into shadows, weapons that bent the stars, warriors who fought without fear. The galaxy no longer mocked mankind. It trembled at their name. In the golden palaces of the Hishari nobles, dancers were dismissed early. Rulers drank bitter wine, faces pale. One lord hissed, "If they rise, they will not stop at one system. They will come for ours next." Another whispered, "Perhaps they already have. Perhaps spies live among us now." Paranoia spread faster than reason. Suspicion poisoned every corner. Even allies accused each other of harboring human agents. In the Dominion, anger and fear fought for control. Their council chamber shook with voices. "We must strike again," one lord demanded. "We must wait and build," another answered. "They will expand," a third whispered. "If we delay, they will become unstoppable." But deep inside, they already knew the truth. The humans had beaten them once, and if they returned with another fleet, they would be beaten again. Young officer Rintaler sat alone after the meeting, staring at the stars. His words from the battle echoed in his mind. This is already lost. He wrote a report, but not for his superiors, for history. In it, he said, "The Dominion faces not a colony, but the rebirth of a power the galaxy once feared. Humanity has returned, and no empire will escape the shadow they cast." Back at the Forgotten Sun, the humans moved without hesitation. New shipyards rose above the star, building vessels faster than ever. Defense stations ringed each planet like steel guardians. Soldiers drilled until exhaustion, preparing for wars they knew would come. Children learned history not from books, but from the wreckage of alien ships that now floated in museums. They touched the broken hulls and whispered, "We are strong. We will endure." Commander Arya Valen stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, watching the maps of the galaxy flicker before her eyes. Red marks showed enemy fleets. Yellow marks showed trade routes. Empty space marked opportunities. "This is the beginning," she said to her council. "The galaxy fears us. Good. Fear is a weapon, but we cannot stop. We will not survive by holding one system. We will survive by expanding." Her words became law. Soon, human fleets began to move beyond their star. Small at first, just scouts and patrols. But each one carried the same message to every world they passed. The Forgotten Sun has returned. Humanity has returned. We endure. We grow. Every empire that heard the message felt the same chill. In the academies of the Zenth scholars, students begged their teachers for answers. How did the humans rise so fast? How could they destroy a dreadnought? The teachers could only shake their heads. We do not know, and that is what terrifies us most. The shockwave spread farther than fear. Some alien races, long oppressed by the Dominion, began to whisper with hope. If the humans can fight them, maybe we can too. If the humans rise, maybe the empires will fall. For the first time in centuries, rebellion stirred in dark corners of the galaxy. But others prepared for war. Armies gathered. Fleets doubled. Plans were drawn. The galaxy had always been a place of conflict, but now every ruler understood. Nothing would matter more than the return of humanity. The balance of power had shifted, and no one could predict what would come next. In the end, the galaxy spoke with one voice, though in fear, not unity. The forgotten colony is no longer forgotten. Humanity is no longer hidden. They have taken a star, and tomorrow, they may take more. On the command bridge of the Iron Dawn, Commander Arya looked out into the endless void. Her people had endured for centuries in silence. Now their name carried across the stars like thunder. She whispered, almost to herself. This is only the first step. The galaxy trembled, because a hidden colony had risen, because humans had claimed the forgotten sun, because the shock wave of their return would be felt forever.